Hello, welcome to the Internet Chess Club. This is Grandmaster Miguel Illescas, and I'm going to do the video recap of Game 7 of this World Chess Championship. And we have a very bad news for Ding Liren. Very bad news. He played today with the black pieces, and not only he lost the game, but the way he lost, it's going to be very, very painful. And I'm pretty sure that tonight it will be very difficult to sleep for the Chinese Grandmaster. Let's have a look what happened in today's game. Nepo went e4, and we have the surprise weapon e6. The French defense. You don't see this defense very often at the highest level, and I think we have to go back to Victor Korchnoi to see this defense in a World Championship match. It was favorite also of some players like Botvinnik, but in recent tournaments, high-level tournaments, we don't see the French very often. What is the reason? Well, it's very risky. I mean, White has many different options, and it gives White a lot of choice. I mean, if White wants, he can go for a positional game, or he can try to be much more aggressive. Well, I mean, when I said it's bad news, it's of course because he kind of banned a weapon. He was showing a new weapon. He was not happy with Rui Lopez. Then he was showing his second weapon for this match, the French defense. And it's quite bad when you do this and you still lose. But the most important is the way he lost. I mean, let's have a look. White went for the Tarrasch defense, and it's quite interesting that I had a game with Vladimir Kramnik with the black pieces, and today I have the feeling that Nepo's preparation was based on that game. Let's have a look at that game because they were more or less the same. In my game, Kramnik, he went for a line which was not so popular with bishop c4. At that time, it was year 1996. There was not so much theory, and I went castle, bishop f6, c3, knight c6. Why is this game Kramnik Illescas relevant for today's game? Well, because it has been said, and I believe it probably true, that Kramnik is helping Nepo. Especially, I can see his hand in several ways, but one is the choice of openings. Nepo is playing some lines which we studied. I'm with Kramnik long time ago, many hours. So in my game with Volodya, he went rook e1, and I improved over a previous game of Nogueiras. I improved with knight takes d4. I think it was very good move. Queen b6, and I want to take on d4 and make a draw, which was not bad against Kramnik. At that time, he was number 1 or 2 in the world with a rating 2775, and he went knight f3, and I played knight d7. I think this was a precise way to play. I was transferring my knight to g6 to prevent some attacks. He cannot develop the bishop because b2 is hanging, so Volodya, he went knight g5, and after knight g6, queen h5, I took and immediately equalized with a precise move e5. He all the time has the same problem to develop the bishop. He needs to protect b2, and after bishop d3, and here Kramnik took on g6, and he offered a draw. We will see, of course, this game there are probably some improvements for White, and that's why they probably repeat this line. And in fact, after c5, let's go back to move 3. White usually plays here e takes d5, and then Black has a choice. He can take with the queen or the pawn. But today Nepo went for knight f3. It is flexible, and then Black usually he can if he develops the knight c6, then White can go bishop b5, and somehow it is good to keep pawns e4 e6 because the bishop is passive. That's why Black usually here tries c takes d4, and of course White can still play e takes d5, queen d5, but in this game he went knight takes d4. Here there is an old line with knight c6, which considers to be slightly better for White, and that's why Black tries now knight f6. Here Nakamura played e5 once, but okay, it looks like kind of good French for Black, so e takes d5, Here, it's possible to take with the knight, sorry, with the queen, but then white goes knight b5. It's a bit annoying. And in today's game, we saw knight takes d5, both players playing quite fast, knight f3. And here it's interesting that Nepo had 2 games, so this could not be a surprise for Liren, because Nepo had 3 games playing white against Grishuk last year, 2022, so quite fresh games. And in my opinion, Liren should be very well prepared, especially if he's going to play the French, to meet this line. He went bishop e7, he gets out of the main theory, which goes with bishop b4 check. Those 3 games of Nepo, all of them follow bishop b4. Now the trick is that if white goes c3, then this is possible. White sacrificed 2 pawns. Of course, there is some compensation, but it's very risky. And in general, Nepo played 3 times bishop d2, bishop c5. He got good results against Grishuk. The position probably around equal. But of course, bishop e7, which I played and today Liren played, is very fine. Black develops, and after bishop c4, here we got the new move knight c6 immediately. In my game, you remember I was showing you before, I went in this move order, playing knight c6 on move 10. Probably this was the improvement that Liren's team had prepared for this game. And it's true, he got a comfortable position. I mean, the next few moves are very natural. I would like to make a note on this pawn structure. It looks pretty bad for black, with the pawns weak on the queen side, isolated. But black has a very strong knight on d5. And the point is that the bishop has no good squares to develop. I mean, the main developing squares are not available. And that's why for white it's not so easy to prove an advantage in this variation. The b3, bishop b2 will not work because bishop f6. So it's not easy to find a way to develop the bishop. You need to take the bishop out of c4, then place c4. But then some weaknesses will be created. And in general, black is going to be all right simply playing bishop b7 and c5. In fact, in the game, this is what happened. And here it's interesting because there are some other ways to play, but Nepo, his choice, is clearly showing his character. I mean, he immediately started to look at the king side with bishop d3 and queen e4. Black wants to play c5, rook d8, and in fact, he's going to get it. And white is trying to create some play on the king side where he has a lot of people pointing there, ready for an attack with many pieces. Now it's a very tough decision. I personally would play g6. I don't know. I mean, this is too powerful and I want to kill it completely. Of course, after bishop h6, I have to move my rook, but rook d8, and I believe this is very okay for black, in my opinion. But Liren, he went knight f6, which is also fine. Now white has the choice to play queen h4, and after c5 here, I would be a bit scared of bishop g5. In the game, it was bishop f4, which is very okay. But bishop g5 was also interesting. Well, of course, we want to take and mate. Black needs to do something. And the point is that after h6, black needs to calculate well the consequences of the bishop sacrifice, because it's extremely dangerous. White is threatening knight g5 and bishop h7 sometimes. And okay, I don't know, according to the computer, after rook d8, white has only a draw with check and check. But okay, I would be, of course, scared with black. In the game, Nepo went bishop f4, queen b6, knight e5. It was still possible bishop e5 with some similar ideas. But knight e5 is completely normal. White wants to win the game with knight d7. Black has to do something about it. And the most natural move is rook a d8. Now Nepo, he went for a standard plan, attacking black on the king side, rook a e1. And now I believe it was an interesting moment, because computer is offering bishop a6, but I'm sure that Liren was a bit worried by c4, and after rook d4, which is the move computer offers, then we have to consider rook e3. And well, I mean, it's very scary, the rook coming through the third rank with some threats, of bishop h7 sometimes. Well, I don't know. I mean, I would be a bit afraid with blacks. That's why maybe he went g6. Now rook e3 is not working because knight d5. This is a important move. Now we are going to kill the bishop and then there is no attack. So that's why Nepo went bishop g5, and now black gets active in the center with a couple of precise moves. Both guys playing quite well now. It was a game with some mistakes, but especially at the end from Liren's side. Nepo played quite decent game, and in this position he went f4. Here we can see that white wants to attack and black needs to be careful. One idea was now to take and play knight f4. It was very sharp. Liren was thinking a lot. He got into time travel very soon, calculating so many sharp lines like this one. Look at this. Now white has to go queen h6, and there are a lot of tricks here. g2 is hanging, and the computer offers the move c4 just to have also queen c5 sometimes, and then after knight g4 f5. Well, it's a bit crazy, the line which the computer offers. It's a very long one, and finally they reach a position which probably it's kind of equal. Of course, not human at all. It's more natural what Liren played, bishop d6. Now the position is very dangerous. There are many attacking moves, but nothing seems to work. And finally, Nepo went for a natural continuation c3, trying to grab and exchange. The rook is trapped in enemy's camp, and black is forced to sacrifice it for a bishop and a pawn. This is not going to be completely enough according to material, but it's going to be all right according to the position. Now it was an interesting moment because Nepo went for the natural move bishop f4, but it was interesting rook f4 with an interesting idea. After bishop e5, now we can take on g6. It's very strange. And the move h takes g6, its only move, because if pawn takes e6 is hanging. And now we can simply take the rook, and there is no move bishop f4 because we have bishop f6 winning. But the point is that black can simply take on d4, and this position looks very unclear. White has, of course, looks like more material, a rook and for a bishop and a pawn, but black king looks very safe after with the bishop on e5. And black got some dangerous pawns, central pawns, and a pair of bishops. It's very, very sharp. Both players probably had to calculate a lot here. Finally, Nepo went for bishop f4, and we reached this critical position where black has again a choice. Here, of course, it would be a big mistake to play h5 because bishop g6, and white is winning if pawn takes, queen takes e6 check, and e5 is hanging. So after rook h4, black could try bishop takes c3, and but the problem is after bishop g6, bishop e1 check, it looks very, very risky for black. Black is a piece up, but white has a lot of threats. Now this is a threat, and this is even a bigger threat, and it was very difficult to calculate. Again, Liren thinking a lot. Finally, he went for rook d8, and white gets a position which seems to be, I don't know, I mean, in internet, a lot of commentators, maybe not the very top commentators, I must say, but they were saying that white is better, blah, blah, blah. But why? I don't understand this. I mean, I sacrificed many exchanges in my career. I lost many games before because that, but I learned some lessons. And here black is fine. I mean, we have a bishop and a pawn only for the rook, but there are several positional factors which play well for black. I mean, first of all, we have the only open file. I mean, black is dominating the only open file. Secondly, black king has little protection, and we have a king very, very safe. And in general, okay, this looks to me at least equal for black, no, not worse at all. In fact, computer is showing 0.5 for black. Difficult to believe that black can be better, but for sure, black is not worst. In the game after rook d5, white has a problem. He needs to untangle his pieces. He wants to bring the queen to e3 or f3, but the problem is h2 is hanging. And that's why he brings the rook to h4 to try to get freedom for his queen. Black uses the opportunity to play queen d6. This is not a good idea to take on h7. And white played queen e3 finally. Well, by the way, we can just check why. I didn't check why rook h7 is a mistake. Bishop c3 is one idea, but rook d1 is even better. And black is counter-attacking and probably winning. So, okay, so we have to focus on what happened in the game. It was queen e3, and now black played the natural move h5. Now, okay, because white sometimes wanted to play queen h6, and it's not the same. With the queen in front, it's much more dangerous. But after h5, white played g3 to get freedom for the rook, rook c4, and this position, in my opinion, it's completely alright for black. I mean, it's move 31, but the big problem for Liren was that he was very short on time, and maybe he didn't evaluate the position correctly. I have the feeling that he thought he's much worse for the gestures and the way he played, and he started to collapse. He started to panic, trying to play active in a position where in my opinion, he had nothing to fear. I mean, there are several ways to play for black. He can simply stay, and it's very difficult for white to do anything with such a poor king, and black is very solid. One possible idea, I mean, Liren, he went h4, which is not bad. I'm not going to say this is a bad move, but it's the beginning of a wrong path, giving a pawn and opening the position for white rooks. I have the feeling that something like a5 was very useful, and the only plan I see here for white is to make some pressure on the f file, but this can be easily met by something like f5. Why not? Why not? I mean, we have a very powerful chain, and in fact our pawn is coming to e4. Who is better and why? I mean, I have the feeling that only black can be better here. It's very safe, no lines for the white rooks, and well, I don't know, it was not so difficult to see. Yeah? Another idea, more or less similar, bishop g5, queen f3, and now playing active rook d3, queen e4, rook, bishop d2, some attack. This was also possible to try to play active. So there were different ways to play, strategically with f5, more active, playing with the pieces. But Liren collapsed in a few moves. I mean, it's a move 31, and he's going to resign in 6 moves only. Look, h4. White takes, of course. Thank you very much. And now, okay, according to the computer, bishop e5, still black is very fine, which, why not? Even wait here, any move, a5. But he went rook d2. He wants to checkmate the opponent. And this is very typical when you panic. When you lose control of the game, you try to play very simple threats. You know that your opponent will see them and will stop them, but still, this is the panic mode. Try to go for the very primitive instinct, trying to win as soon as possible, or trying to finish as soon as possible. That shows that you don't control your stress. And I have the feeling that Liren collapsed clearly in this game because the time travel. In the game, white played rook e2, very natural, and now it was necessary to come back to d5, and according to the analysis, the position is still equal. Okay, we gave this pawn, but it's very well under control, and well, I mean, it's just 5 pawns each, but black pieces are much better. Instead, the next move is difficult to explain. Rook d3. The only explanation, what I just said. We play very primitive threats, very basic, trying to mate, trying to take the queen in one move. But of course the opponent plays queen takes c5, and now check. All the time the very primitive moves. Queen d3, okay, I go. And now it's simply game over. I mean, no checks. Now white is a pawn up. and rook f4 is coming. There is no way to stop this plan. In fact, after king g7, rook f4, now Liren played queen c3, and he resigned without waiting for a move. Okay, now Nepo can simply take, and play a winning endgame, for example, like this, and it's completely over. So what happened? Just in 6 moves, Liren, he threw away all his good play from the previous 30 moves. And this is the kind of game which is so painful. You know, you go back later, you cannot explain why you didn't keep this position. I mean, very solid with black, you can play any move. And why to panic? Why to give all these pawns? Lose control completely. And this half point which Liren gave up today is going to be very important in my opinion. It's not going to be so easy to recover from this defeat. And especially showing again the French. Now Nepo will prepare the French, and things start to be a bit difficult for the Chinese Grandmaster Liren. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. We cannot deny that the match is very interesting. I have to thank both players for the brave play so far and the beautiful games. And we expect a second half equally interesting. And well, I don't care. They criticize the level, some mistakes. Well, when there is a complex fight like today, it's easier to make mistakes. If we play a very boring Berlin defense, there are going to be much less mistakes. I have to thank the players for their attitude, and let's hope we enjoy a lot in the second half of the match. I hope to meet you in the next video. Bye bye.